Unbounded Greatness. Lovely to see you again. Tonight we've got a very, very special guest from Sydney, Australia. As you know, in Unbounded Greatness, we interview people who have reached the top of their game internationally and in Kenya. And I'm very, very honoured and proud to have a long friend of mine called Julia Zaetta. We will be exploring the mindset that leads to great success and the behaviour. What do people do to become successful? And Julia Zaetta, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's my great pleasure to be with you.
Julia,
from so far away, but I feel very much at home already.
Absolutely, well, wonderful. Kenya is a very warm and welcoming place, and we do hope to get you over here sometime. That would be fabulous. You could talk.
Without question.
You could talk and inspire so many people here because, Julia, you've reached the top of your game. You're without a doubt Australia's #1 most recognisable magazine editor, the longest chief editor in Australia's history, and at the top of your game. You're a TV icon, you're a magazine editor, everybody knows your name, and you have a fabulous brand name of Julia Zaetta and have had an enormous impact, I would say, on not only magazine, but on women and women's empowerment around the Asia Pacific and Australian region. So very much. Very much. I think it says something about you that when we were arranging this interview, you said to me, if we can reach and touch just one life with this interview, it will make a difference. And I think that says something about you. Without further ado, I wanted to speak to you. You, not too long ago, gave a talk to women, and you sent me a copy of that. And I noticed when I was reading through the speech you made, you kept talking about love and passion. How did you get started? Where did you find your love and passion for the magazine industry? And how did you start? Was it an easy road for you to get started?
Look, it was something I was born with the love of decorating homes. I don't know why. It was a gift I was given, and I started photographing my own bedroom at 11 and reorganising and then photographing it again. And that's transferred across to one of the things that I say in my list of what I believe you need to do to be successful. And it is find what you love and do it. And just search out, go deep into your heart, into your headspace. And is what I love working with horses? Is it gardening? Is it worrying about people's health and well-being? So you need to go deep in yourself to find what it is you love and then search it out as best you can. If you can't find it and you are doing something else, learn to love it, because you will not be good at whatever you're doing unless that love for it comes through, that passion, that waking in the morning wanting to do it, sleeping at night thinking how I can do it better. So that's what happened to me, and I was lucky that I was able to work in that area that I loved so much.
But you made that happen. It's fair to say, with what you've told me, it wasn't handed to you on a plate. You really had to go for it. Talk to us about how hard was it for you to get started?
Look, I sorted out, and I got in touch with magazines, which I really loved, and I wrote to them, which is what you did then. We certainly didn't have mobile phones or faxes or anything, so you had to actually send letters. So I posted letters to these people asking if I could do anything, and I got through to one of them, and she was pretty annoyed with me because I kept pursuing them. I didn't give up on chasing these people. And I was in Melbourne at the time. She was in Sydney, which is, an hour and a half by plane and 8 hours in a car. And she got cross with me and said, look, there's not much we could do, she said, because you're in Melbourne and we're in Sydney and I'd have to see you. And I said, you give me a time and I'll be there. And she said, look, I'm really sorry. I've only got 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I said, I'll be there. And I made it my business to get on an early plane, pay for the flight, go up and see her, because I knew if I didn't do that, I had no chance. And luckily she said to me, I'd been with her for about 15 minutes, and she said, we've got nothing here. But our sister magazine in the building next door, I think has. Go and see them. So I did. And within 15 minutes of being there, she said, when can you start? And that was what was the beginning of my long career in magazines.
Wow.
But you have to go. One of the things that I say to people now is, you need to walk, drive, fly, however you can get to wherever that person is who might be able to give an opportunity. You take it.
Take that opportunity and be teachable. Yes. Be ready to learn. Be ready to do the slog. Yeah. How hard was it when you first started? How old were you? Your first experiences in the corporate discipline of the pressure of the magazine environment?
I was 27 when I found what I really wanted, and I'd done a lot of things up until that point. I was a teacher. I wrote travel documents. I worked in PR, but they were only very short bursts because I didn't love them, and I travelled a lot in between. So I was 27, but I was only 32 when I became the editor of my magazine that I've been on and off now for over 40 years.
That's very young.
Yes, was very young. Well, because when you love it, you're good at it.
Wow. Okay, now I want to ask you the power question. How do you start at 27 and within 5 years you become the editor? That is an enormous quick ascendance. How did you do it, Julia? For all the women and men who are listening, how do you move up the line so quickly? What did you do? What were you thinking? And what was the behavior that set you apart from the other people who would love to have been that person?
I think you have to be humble for starters. And when I began, the job was only 3 days a week. So I worked 5 days a week for 3 days a week pay, because I knew that if I did that, they would understand how passionate I was about what I did. And in fact, I couldn't do my 3 day week job as well in 3 days, but the extra 2 days made it even better. So I was excelling at that time frame because I took the extra time. Wow. And I think I just dedicated myself to finding out as much as I could to be good. I had great respect for the people I worked for and had great respect for the people I worked with. So I just made sure that whatever I did was as good as I could be at it. And I'd always go the extra yard, the extra mile, whatever it took to make sure that I was excelling.
It's almost as though you didn't think that you were working for somebody else. You were so in love with it that you felt that you were working for you. I hear that passion to, I really want to be fantastic at this.
Yes. And the better you get at it, when you love it, yep. The more you love it and the better you get. So the more, it's just, this keeps going.
Yeah, that's right. The better you get, the more you love it, and the more you love it, the better you get. And it becomes an obsession. I get a sense it became an obsession to you.
Yeah. Well, it becomes, you become it and it becomes you. Yeah. So, yes.
Becomes your identity.
Yes.
This is who I am, this is what I do, and all of me is doing it.
Yes. Yes.
That's beautiful. In your letter and I must say, your incredibly inspiring speech to the young women that you mentored, you talked about love the people with whom you work, love the people you work with. Talk to us about that.
I was addressing 1,000 girls at this particular point into how to get ahead with their careers.
Right.
I think one of the things that I've found in my long time of working with people, there'll be people you don't like, and there'll be people you like a lot, and there'll be people you love a lot. But I worked very hard to make sure that I could love as many of them as with whom I worked, for a couple of reasons. One, it made the workplace a really good place to be. Secondly, you learn a lot from other people. And thirdly, if you've got this relationship going around like that with people, everybody benefits. So you, in your position, benefit a lot because they like you. You can talk to anybody. You can have the best gossip sessions imaginable, and you hear all these fabulous secrets. So you're deeply and intimately involved with everyone, which again makes you better at what you're doing because you're a happy person, but you're helping and being helped by everyone around you. And I just have to say now, from 40 years of being in this industry and at the moment having some time to catch up with people, I can go back 30 years and 35 and 40 years and still have catch-ups that are just amazing with all those people, because the relationships became so strong and fundamental to me moving up in my career.
That is a very powerful statement, and that really says something about you and the quality of your relationships. What I'm really honing in on is the use of the word love in the workplace. You took it way past the point of tolerating or, oh, we're just business pals. You actually went to forge a sincere and deep connection. Is that part of your success, and did that create a better quality product that
Look,
you
I think
for?
you'd have to be careful where you use the word love in the workplace, because if you're in very business-like places, they're probably going to see that as an emotion that they don't particularly want to be part and parcel of what you're doing. So when I gave this advice to these women, my intention was for how you can behave yourself. But I did not go around using the word love a lot because they would have thought I was schmaltzy and silly. But it was that strong feeling of connection, which is what I called love, was how I functioned in the workplace. But I didn't use that word as much. I use it to direct people now into how they should feel and how they should relate. If I had to come up with another word, I guess relating would be it in the workplace to other people. But yeah, you brought it to my attention how often I use the word love. I guess
do. And you then went on to say, I'm reading, treat those below you with as much respect and warmth as you treat those above you. Talk to us about that.
Look, the people who work below you, and I had a lot of people working. I managed a lot of people. I was senior to a lot of people.
Certainly were.
Pretty much at the beginning, yes. Those people who work for you are fundamentally as important, if not more so, than the ones above you, because they are your foundation. They are the people that you rely on to get the work done. And they're the people that you need to respect for their contribution to what you're doing and who you are. The people above you are just the managers, you know? Yeah. Are they good? Some of them are good. Are they not good? Some of them aren't so good. But the people who are underneath you are your platform. So they deserve as much care and respect as you can give them, because they're the people who are going to ultimately elevate you anyway.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing. And one of the first business lessons I ever received was by my first mentor in business. I was 25, and this guy really put me under his wing and started to teach me stuff. And he said, listen, kid, you don't climb to the top. You put great people under you, and they lift you up.
Yeah.
That's true, isn't it?
It's absolutely the truth.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
So
how you treat people is incredibly important to your success.
Yes. And it gives you great happiness too.
Yeah.
Because you all have a very good time.
Yes, yes. You then went on to say, try to employ and put experts around you. This is the Steve Jobs and one of the big motivational lines. Always, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. Put people who are smarter at what they do. It made me laugh once. We're going to talk about this a little. Put people who are smarter than you around you. Did you do that? And talk to us a little about that.
Look, I had to have the experts, because on the big magazine that I worked on, Better Homes and Gardens, we needed a garden editor. I can't grow a thing. We needed a really good food editor, a decorating editor, a craft editor, and a building editor.
Right.
So I had to have the best of those people so we could produce a fabulous magazine. If I didn't have them, and an assistant who knew what to do with the monies and all those sorts of things. So in the end, I just was really sort of able to go around and just see what they were doing. And I loved what they were doing. And they were absolute experts in their field, which is why our product became as successful as it did.
Yes.
Because they were so good at what they did.
Yes.
And it's important always to have the best that you can have in their area. And yes, then you do look fine. And the other thing, if you're really clever, you learn how to take the credit.
Well, in fact, which is Julia's nerve too. I've just been told, we've got 10 minutes, so we'll move along. Another thing you said that's incredibly important is understand and love your audience, love your customer. That's a secret of success in business. Talk to us about that.
Now, you know what, when we talk about our audience and love your customer, I write down here that your customer are your clients, but they might also be your patients if you're a nurse. They're your pupils if you're a teacher. They're your family and friends around you. They're whomever the people are for whom you are doing what you do. So when we think of customers, we're not just thinking about the people who come in and pay money to get something. They're the people for whom you are working.
Right.
So whatever industry you're in, those people who are the foundation of what your job is are your customers. Just love them. And learn. And the other thing is learn to know what they want and work your darndest to give it to them.
And
because
you
that's
did a lot
why
of research. You did a lot of research and a lot of groups with people to understand how your business was working, how it was being perceived. You got very close to it. Last time I saw you operate in Better Homes and Gardens at Murdoch. You were very, very customer focused and very listening. Let's get a group of women here to tell us what they're seeing and what they're reading.
Because the point of the exercise for that was, we had to change people's lives for the better. Otherwise, what we were doing didn't matter.
Dang.
And I think that's what you have to think about when we talk about customers, whoever they are, your pupils, the people who are sick in bed, anybody. You have to change their life for the better.
Yes.
That's what your job is in life.
Your job is, change people's lives.
In life.
Yeah, that's it.
In the workplace, in life. But I think if I might, because there's a whole lot of other points here, there's a couple of things that I think matter most, if I might just add them in.
Sure.
There's three or four. Ask. Yes. Ask. When you don't know something, when you want something, when you can't understand it, when you don't believe it's going to happen, when you think it's impossible, ask. Because you will be surprised how many times you get a yes answer that you never thought was going to happen. So you just keep asking. And if I can't get the answer from you, Michael, I'm going to ask somebody else till I get the answer I want. But never give up on asking. And the other thing is always push the boundaries. Always be prepared to break the rules a little bit. Push the boundaries, and get there any way you can. If you meet a roadblock, go round it. If somebody says no to you, don't listen. Find another way of doing whatever you need to do. You go up and over and you talk to another person, you make a phone call, but you push the boundaries. And if it doesn't work, you've got to be prepared to cop the blame. But if you don't push the boundaries, you don't get anywhere very special. And always never make a decision you can't go back upon. And that's always true for funerals. Always go to funerals because you can't have another go at it. But and there's a lovely saying, which is never let anybody else be your finish line. You decide when you get to the finish line. Nobody else does.
Well, that's powerful.
And you keep working at it. They're really strong. And for the ladies in the audience, for the women who are listening to us, I say one very important thing. In this world of gender diversity, and we women still suffer a little bit from, being pushed down, glass ceilings, etc., etc. stand up and be respected and acknowledged, regarded, accorded, and honoured because you are good, not because you're a woman.
Yeah, well said.
That's how you always have to think, yes.
That's very inspiring and very true. That's what I would want for my daughters, and they're definitely going to be listening to you say that in a few years when they're a little bit older. That's very, very powerful. The other thing that you talk about is listening, developing your listening skills. And Julia, you and I have this in common. I talk about that to youth when I'm mentoring. The capacity to actively listen to people is so fundamental, one, to getting your facts straight, and two, to building relationships with people. And I know that you've talked to us about listening and how important that is.
That's another one that really matters. If you don't listen to people, you don't know what they want. If you don't listen to people, you don't know who they are. And if you don't listen to people, you don't know how they think. So in business, you can't work for them because you're always working for people. You know, you're working for the people in your industry. You can't work for them effectively if you don't know those three things. So if you go in talking about yourself and what you can do and how you can support their business and how you can build it, it doesn't work until the very first meeting has been about listening. So you've got to know who they are and what they want. And in fact, what they think of what you can do. Listening is the most powerful thing. If you sat and said nothing in a whole meeting, it'd be a really good meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's where we find the truth. Now, listen, I've just been handed a note. We've only got about a minute to go. Julia Zaetta, it has been an absolute stunning privilege to have you, and your inspiration will reach many, many people here in East Africa. And yeah, it will. And I want to thank you very, very much for coming on Unbounded Greatness. You are a great example. You're a great inspiration to me. You're one of the smartest, most amazing and authentic women I have ever known. I absolutely adore you, Julia. And I
thank you. And likewise.
Yes, so good to be in touch with you. Thank you so much for inspiring the next generation of young Kenyans. Thank you very, very much for coming on the show. Any parting comments from you? It's an absolute pleasure to see you, and thank you for inspiring us on Unbounded Greatness.
Yes, my last statement to all of you is shine on, you crazy diamonds. And thank you. It's been my pleasure and honour to be with you.
Absolute pleasure. Have a lovely, lovely afternoon, evening. I know it's late afternoon, and pleasure to see you, Julia. We'll talk soon. Hope to have
see you there next time.
Thanks a lot.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.